Great. Well, welcome. We're going to be doing our 26th annual Dickens, which is just a miracle in and of itself to say 26 years of Dickens. And I've known you personally, and I've seen you on the streets. And tell us a little bit about your involvement with the festival and why you enjoy participating every year.
All right, I'll go with some ideas. We got inspired by, coming down as spectators. We just came down to enjoy the day. And then you were just sitting saying pasta, pasta, and people walk by in costume. And of course, I do this, and I do this. And I have to have that costume. I have to get involved. So to get involved, it's not that hard to do. Anybody that wants to get involved, we get in touch with Karen over, and we can include her contact information as a street character to volunteer. And she's so kind, and she just walks us through the process. She helps us with our design, as does Colette, helps us with character development if you're going to be a street character. And we have wonderful volunteers that just kick this off and just
So,
make
Terry,
it work.
you and Alex are residents, and you enjoy coming down to stroll. I see you on many occasions without your Dickensian attire.
Yes.
So how long have you been participating as just volunteers in Dickens?
10 years.
10 years now.
Yeah, it's 10 years because I started coming down in 2012. But prior to that, just coming to enjoy
And
it.
what
for
does
the
it
fun.
do for you to be involved in the festival? Why do you come back every year?
It's, we go out there as like these little amplifiers of joy. And then every year that amplifier gets stronger and stronger. And then we go out, we're recognized, they remember us, meet new people every year. And I don't know, just every year it gets better. It's a big transformation.
Excellent.
For me, because I started off really shy.
Well, I'm so happy that you've come out of your shell. So
I
to
came
speak.
out of my shell.
I'm so sorry, but I have to interrupt.
Please do.
This is not the story that Terry told me. She said that she had to be at the crossroads and sell her soul to the ghost of Christmas past.
Ooh. This is
And that is
Alex, we're going to get you your
Well,
side of the story soon.
he was the catalyst, is how she told me that story.
I'm sure he was.
Can't you tell?
But I told her, I don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
well,
gonna
we have a
plead
few.
Innocent to all charges.
Talk about these. Are we calling these costumes or outfits? Costumes, right? Or is it? I don't even want to call it that because it's just so real.
Yeah.
For back in the day, what would you call
For
it?
this occasion, this upcoming weekend, it's just what you wear.
It's what you wear, right?
There's nothing else.
But the authenticity.
Well, it depends on if you're wearing corsetry, then it's not a costume, it's torture. But that's okay, because the Victorians were into that.
Yeah, they were.
They certainly were.
They certainly were.
But,
Well documented.
But I have seen such a wonderful transformation over the years of bringing my youngest son here and seeing how the shows have changed and become so much more interesting and professional and engaging with the public.
And Christian will be in a show this year, right?
Yes, my
Oh, wonderful.
youngest will be in the show.
Right, so that's one of the things we try and do. We try and engage the young people from the schools, and either whether they're playing in a concert, but the street character actors, they fall in love with acting and being involved, and they get that energy back. We have this skits that go throughout the weekend on the street. They rehearse all year long. Are you folks involved in any of the skits?
We will be participating in a different way this year, but we have 5. We have 5 skits that we'll
Okay.
have. We do like a small version of Scrooge. We do a version of Oliver where they're dancing and they're singing. And we have 3 others, and this year we've added movement. So we have the Fezziwig dance, which
get
is
fezzy with it.
that's special, and we have a big emphasis on movement and dance in a few of our programs. So
Excellent.
that's something new we've added.
That's great.
Yeah.
And of course, the magical thing about the village is the backdrop of the historic streets, and no matter what street you're at or where the play is taking place, it's the backdrop is
Yeah,
a wonderful backdrop that
A
comes to life.
photographer's delight.
Right.
Right. You just have
Exactly.
the perfect backdrop.
Right. So, what do you know about Charles Dickens, the hero of the weekend?
Well, I think it's very interesting that Charles Dickens had a fascination for all things related to lighthouses. So he would have loved to have been here in Port Jefferson, close to the water, close to the sound, and close to any kind of lighthouse.
Well, that's
In fact, the original draft, and you sometimes see this in A Christmas Carol, is the spirit takes him to the lighthouse with the lighthouse keepers, because he was fascinated with the lighthouse keepers. Jeffrey,
interesting.
You're aware of that, aren't you?
It's in the book.
It is in the book.
Yes.
See, this is our resident
Is that the book?
scholar, so we have to deflect to Jeffrey.
Excellent. Well, we'll talk about that. But I'm not sure. I didn't know that. I know a lot about Charles, but I didn't know that he had a fascination for lighthouses, and that's good to know, because being in Deepwater Harbor here, people love to come to see the water. So I think we picked Charles for a lot of good reasons to be the backdrop of this festival that we bring joy to everybody once a year, 26 years in a row.
Now,
26
there is
years.
a scandal about this story. Do you know what the scandal is?
Which story?
A Christmas Carol.
Oh, there's many scandals, I'm sure, but
Well,
let's
the-
hear yours.
The scandal is a young Charles went to Lowell, Massachusetts during this great age of industrial revolution with the Lowell Mills and the Lowell Mill Girls. And they published a series, these young ladies who came from the countryside of Massachusetts, published their own poetry and stories. And young Charles took their publication, and many of their stories sound very familiar to our three spirits that visit our Mr. Scrooge.
Well, we know that Charles wrote A Christmas Carol in 6 weeks, and that it actually didn't start out to be the story that it ended up to be. So perhaps he did share or take some tales that he learned along the way. But Christmas
Let's just
Carol.
say he was liberal with his adding inspiration to his work.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Leave it mystifying.
Ah.
So I just want to also ask, are these outfits, I'm going to call them that just because it's easy, are they stored during the year? Tell me, because I'm interested in like Nan Gazzetta, who was amazing for this village and passed away, and donated a lot of the outfits, if not all, to the Arts Council. Do you know anything about that, Terry?
Yeah, we've got, we do have storage for outfits.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people in the festival, some of our participants have their own outfits, and they keep them in their home. And then we do have a storage unit where all the outfits are maintained, and then they're categorized for hats and gloves and scarves and coats and dresses and hoops. And that's quite a job. That's been quite a job to keep that
Yeah.
together.
Colette,
Catalog.
do you dress other folks for this festival? Do you,
I do.
You do, right?
I do. I've been a costume designer for 45 years.
Okay.
I've worked at the Helen Hayes and the John Drew, to name a few. I've had the honor of being the dresser to Miss Dina Merrill and Phyllis Newman during a few productions out on the East End.
Excellent.
So, and I get this great joy of the transformation of character and what costumes provide to the actor to create a character. And as you're wearing your top hat, if I just added maybe one embellishment and maybe cocked it to the side, an entirely different character might emerge. And that's the wonder of
Might have to see you
costume.
Friday. Because this came together in the last 5 minutes.
You're doing well.
Sadly speaking. That is fantastic. Do you look at movies or photographs? What do you look at to get it right, so to speak? The authenticity of
My mother was
There you
an
go.
artist for Vogue patterns, so I was literally born on pins and needles because
Wow.
every pattern that she illustrated, she had to create. So, and then on my father's side, my Aunt Mary was with Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, and so helping her with her costumes, and of course, aerial dancers have a completely different costume set than as we are in our Victorian garb. But it's quite an education on, spatial movement and how you can have spatial movement and have a character. So it's fun. It's the architecture of a character, and
Absolutely.
you build it from the ground up, as I'm sure Jeffrey can tell you.
Absolutely. This seems warm. This is like good for
Yes, it's
cold weather for
didn't
sure.
want to have the incomplete outfit.
What about that cane?
These
Could
few
be liquid
items-
in there.
Is there a flask?
something of a good self-defense item. And actually, I don't need it, fortunately, but at my
Right.
tender age, I sometimes find it very comforting to have.
What was the average age that people lived to during this era?
40.
It-
40 years
That's
old.
incredible.
Charles passed at 58, which is
Oh, man.
interesting,
Yeah.
right? That would mean he lived to the other
Yeah.
side of that
Be
average
considered
age.
quite young today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not for that time period.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that keeps me coming back is the warm feeling that I get from all of the people that are characters and participate in the performances, and all of the effort that they make, which is
Yes.
remarkable. They practice for weeks and weeks, but then of course all of the people that are in the village, the restaurants and so on, how they participate and help to provide food for them and so on. It's the real community effort to pull this performance off and to have this weekend, and it's enjoyed so much by everyone that comes.
So
I mean, thank us.
Oh, well,
the time in
without
the
the
street.
volunteers, this
Yeah.
festival would not be possible, and the generous donations that we get from community members. But it's really the community that it's like the secret weapon. The festival all of a sudden takes on a life form of its own because the community just comes together and it swells up and it lifts us down the street when we do the parade, and it's gives you goosebumps when you do it year after year. But
And it brings down all these boundaries. It's non-denominational. It's just all the boundaries come down and everybody's unified.
and we need that more than ever.
We need that.
Actually,
Yeah.
you were so excited last year that you stumbled a little, didn't you?
Yes, I did. As I wish somebody a Merry Christmas over my right shoulder.
Colette
I
doesn't
s-
know about the
I,
story.
I took 3 somersaults down the stairwell and ended up at the hospital. So we're gonna hope that I get
You're
to
gonna take it
enjoy
nice
the
and easy. You're
26th
gonna enjoy
and
this.
all its festivities.
Slow to turn around the ship.
Yes, I'm watching my step, Alex.
Right,
Thank you so
right.
much.
What is the 26th anniversary? Is it a golden anniversary? No, golden is what, 50th?
50.
So what is?
I think the 25th was the silver.
The silver.
I
Now,
know.
as-
And that would have been during the pandemic, unfortunately. So we had some version of Dickens, but not, of course, the Dickens we know. So last year was 25 and a half.
So
Right.
for the 26th, this is the bourbon anniversary?
We could say that, yes.
Let's say that. Let's say that.
I like that. Well,
So-
thanks. We wanted to give a little behind the scenes here. So is there anything else you wanted to tell our audience today?
Yes, I'm Colette Gilbert, and I write for East Magazine. If you'd like to hear a real Christmas ghost story, please look up a Ghost of Christmas Past in East Magazine, East Hampton.
Oh, wow. And let's get our version of Dickens Present.
Exactly.
We'd love to do that with you. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.